So first of all, welcome everybody to our Word 365 workshop, where I'm hoping that you will learn some really exciting tricks and tips about Word 365 that will help you in your professional practice. Welcome. If there are any questions, I'll try to monitor the chat to see if there are questions. Feel free to ask them as well. You can unmute yourself. I see we've got people from all over, and I'm going to share my screen, and we'll share my desktop. And here we go. Oh, okay. So we should be recording. So our presentation today, let me just tell you a little bit about myself. I am an assistive technology consultant. My name is Janowski. I'm out of Boston, actually north of Boston, an area about 15 minutes north of Boston. And I do want the presentation to start. Here, let me go. I do want, let me move this out of the way. Play narration. Let's play from the start. So you'll notice that there will be some narration at the bottom of the screen if there's anyone who is deaf or hard of hearing, so that you can follow along.
She's using subtitles like me. What's that? She's using subtitles like me.
Yes.
I'm on a seminar.
So actually, you might want to mute yourself who just spoke about the subtitles. Feel free, if you have a question, to unmute yourself, but in the meantime, just mute yourself. So I am passionate about showing students, adults who struggle in areas around written expression, about reading independently, and I'm passionate about showing them the technology that it promotes success and independence. And I do believe that technology makes all the difference, makes a huge difference. So I think you might hear some of my passion come through in this presentation. But I do want to tell you that the goals for today are keep it simple and just focus on one new strategy. It may feel like a little bit of a fire hose, I hope not, but keep it simple and learn at least one new strategy that you can immediately implement with your students with remote learning. So I do want to say, yes, tools do matter. Tools matter. We sometimes hear that they really don't, and it's not about the tool, but as someone who is an AT specialist, I do have to say that it is all about the tools, and we have to choose our tools carefully. One of the things I do want to point out is even the research that validates that. And this is a study that came out in 2018 that showed that students who had access to their appropriate assistive technology, their graduation rate, look at this, was almost 100%. And those who did not have access to the appropriate technology, their graduation rate was much less. This is even more telling. Those students who had the access to the assistive technology for their post-secondary enrollment, almost 81% of them used assistive technology. Without it, 40% of them did not go on to post-secondary enrollment. So did go on. So it's a much lower percentage of people who went on for post-secondary options. And then it even impacts in terms of paying jobs, in terms of employment. So the idea of exposing our students to their appropriate assistive technology is key, as we can see to this particular research, to this table, and it is really essential for success, for graduation, post-secondary enrollment, as well as for employment. So keep that in mind. It's all about building strategic competence. I just recently was working with higher ed, some staff from a local state college, and they were talking about how few of their students had access to the appropriate technology they needed in the face of learning variabilities. And they were just amazed that The students are not getting access in middle school, high school at all. And it really is our moral imperative to make sure that our students have access to the technology that they need that promotes success and independence. So the focus on today is tools for writing and tools for reading that are built into Word 365. Okay, those are the two areas that I'm going to focus on because those are the two areas that seem to be the greatest areas of struggle for our students with learner variabilities. So the whole point is let's have our students add to their technology toolbox. Every student will graduate with their own unique technology toolkit. It's we must ensure that our students have access to the technology that they need, and then they can determine if we've exposed them to different options, they can identify which ones help them to perform more adequately, to have success, and to have independence. So as we explore Word 365, keep in mind the 3 dots. Anytime there are those 3 dots, we can always explore further. So let's start with writing. So anyone using the dictation tool or the editing tool or the spell check tool or the rewrite suggestions tool, and did you know about these tools? So I am going to go back to my my documents. I'm going into, so hopefully you're still seeing my screen.
Está hablando de cómo usar el 360.
So this is Word 365, and actually what I'm going to do is I'm going to start from scratch. I'm just going to go into File,
Digo, yo lo sé usar, pero me gustaría aprender algo
New
nuevo.
Blank Document, and Guadalupe, I do hear your voice. If you just want to mute it unless you have a question. So here's my blank document, and I'm waiting for it to load in. We're seeing the spin here, and I just want to wait for the toolbars to show up. Okay. Boy, that took a while. I do apologize for that. Okay, so here's our blank document. Unfortunately, it defaults to font size 11, which I think is a terrible size. I am going to actually default it up to, I'm going to increase it up to 28. I haven't figured out a way to change the default settings on Word 365. If anyone knows a way to do that, I've explored everywhere. I know you can do it in the desktop version, but there wasn't a way that I could find to change the default setting. So we'll use font size 28. One of the things that you'll notice if we go over here on the right is this dictation tool. It's just automatically built in. Nothing additional to do, it's just there. So I'm going to select it, and you can see it shows up right on the bottom here, period. And what I'm going to do is read from a book, period. I am going to read from a book entitled The Myth of Laziness by Mel Levine, period. Laziness is not an innate trait, period. We are all born with a drive to produce, comma, and like saplings growing in an orchard, comma, we have within us the resources to bear fruit, comma, to be and to feel useful and effective, period. So I'm going to turn off my my dictation, but one of the things that I do want, what did you think about the accuracy of it? So I did repeat myself here. So obviously, and that was actually before I actually wanted to start. It did automatically start each sentence with an uppercase letter. I think it did make some corrections during the dictation. Now you'll notice here it says in. So if I right click and say open suggestions, did you say, no, it didn't get what I said and what I'm going to do. So that was an error right there, but it's okay. We want to model that there are errors in transcription, and it's okay. One of the things you'll notice too, if I just hold down here on that little circle where the recording is, we have 3 options. One is the help, one is to actually dictate, and this one is the dictation settings. So remember how I said click the 3 buttons? So here, one of the things that you'll notice too is the spoken language. Look at all of these options, that the different languages that you can use for dictation and preview languages. So it's important to realize that you aren't limited to only dictating in English. So that's something to know about too. Another thing I want you to see, and actually there's a few documents that I've made. This on the right side, this task editor, and actually let me just check the chat. I think if there are any questions in the chat. Can somebody monitor the chat for me? Can you post a link for that study, Karen? Yes, hi Beth, definitely. Oh, Trish, you already did, thank you, excellent. If you click editor after, would it help fix the passage? Jason, wait until you see. Wait until you see what dictation does. It's really, I mean, what editor does. So if I click on editor, and actually what I'm going to do is open up this document. So this is an article that I copied from Common Lit, and and I'm going to click on the editor. So this isn't a document that I created, but look at all of these writing options that you have for correcting and editing your work. So one of the things that it gives you is an editor score. So it calculates a score based on the number of types of suggestions to be reviewed and document length. So this is a pretty high score, which is great. Now it has a spelling error. So if I click on the spelling, it will take me to where that spelling error is, and it didn't recognize that name. So of course we'll just ignore all. It has a grammar check. It has acronyms, clarity. So again, I'm going to click on clarity. So saying who or what it did, saying who or what did, it doesn't have a suggestion for this. But if we click on the 3 dots, this is kind of a cool thing. So see how this is underlined? It said is well documented, and oftentimes it will have a suggestion. If we click on context, it shows the context of something that they are highlighting. The strong force of conformity is well documented. So that's kind of a nice thing. We can go on to the next one. So again, here's the context, but it doesn't have a suggestion in this case. This was something that I didn't write myself, but what I really want you to see is all of these options: formality, inclusiveness, punctuation conventions, sensitive geopolitical references, vocabulary. It has a readability score, distinct words. So it can take you 2 minutes to read it or 3 minutes to speak it, review one uncommon word. So here is, it didn't know what unthinkingly is, so consider using words that are more common. So we could replace unthinkingly with instinctively or automatically, or we could just ignore it. So this was a document that I just copied and pasted from the Common Lit website. So if we go here, I have another document. So this is another document that I dictated myself, and I give you the editor tools. We'll see more on. Jayashri, could you just mute your microphone, please? Okay. Is somebody who needs to be muted? Thank you. Does changing the language option translate what has been said? Yes, unfortunately, I don't speak any of those languages. So yes, if you you change the translation option to say Spanish and you dictate it in Spanish, it would show up in Spanish. I will show you that feature in Immersive Reader when we look at the reading tools. Unfortunately, I was looking to see if I could dictate in Greek, because I do know some Greek, but Greek is not one of the dictation language options, unfortunately. So here's an example of something that I dictated. So see how this is underlined, and if I right-click, there are a number of tools that we will explore today. If I right-click on that, so I don't even need to go into Editor. Look at the options that are now available. We can open the suggestion. We could look at the rewrite suggestions. It is really going to help our students strengthen the quality of their writing, and it's just automatically built in. Now, as an English teacher, what a great tool to use this to see if, in fact, those are appropriate recommendations. Are they appropriate? We can have students do an assessment. So I'm going to click Open Suggestion, and here it is, more concise. It's giving me some guidance about how I can improve the quality of my writing. This is just built in. So more concise language would be clearer for your reading. So it's giving me some guidance. So instead of there are a number of tools, which it underlined, we could say several, a few, or we could just ignore that. So I'll go along with the suggestion and I'll hit several, and it automatically makes that adjustment in the writing that I've done. Here's another section right here. If I right click, all of, and this time we'll do rewrite suggestions. So look at this, this is amazing. So here are a few other ways to write this. So instead of that sentence that I have written, it is now giving me some options. So and it explains what it is, more concise phrasing. This option improves readability. This option is a paraphrased sentence. So we can choose any one of these, and it's pretty amazing. So we can also hide the context and hide the suggestion types, but we want to see how we can improve the quality of our work. All right, somebody has a question. So Word Online has editor, but I don't get little underlines like you have. As a school, no. So Tanya says you must subscribe as a school. Actually, I don't have it as a school. I have it as an individual. So check and see. Can open suggestion be automatically opened? If you do hit Alt-D, it does automatically open that up. Great questions. So what do you think of that? What do you think about the ability to easily correct the writing, the quality of your writing right within the Word document before you've even shared it with your teacher, whatever? So there are a couple of ways when we see the lines underlined like this here, or when we go into Editor, and this editor score is a little bit lower. And again, we can look at, so we can look at things within the document itself, or we can go through the whole editor on the side. Now I can look at grammar. And here, this is awesome because I dictated this wrong. It says a period would work better here. So again, we'll fix it just like that. And we will look at, we can also look, oops, sorry, I'm enlarging it too much. We can also look at conciseness. What does it mean? So again, here are words expressing uncertainty lessen your impact. So I said somewhat different, and again, it's offering me to just take out the word somewhat and just have the word different. Are there things that maybe you would like to? So let's just take out you. So again, I wasn't as concise in dictating the quality of my writing. So I will change that. Instead of all of, I'll change all. So again, giving me that guidance. So it improved also the readability and my distinct words. And let's see, it actually did improve my editor score, didn't it? Slightly, I wasn't really paying attention. So after everything is corrected, are the corrections highlighted in any way once you've corrected it? So great question. And what I will show you next is the versions, because I think that this is a good time to do that. So let's say we've finished editing our work. And so we'll close that editing pane on the side. And one of the options that you have with Word 365, if we go over here to the file, I'll go to File, and I'm going to go to Info. Now, version history is an option that's available in Google Docs, and it's a really powerful option. I prefer the version history in Google Docs. I will show you what it looks like in Word 365. So it shows that I started this 3 hours ago. And so if we click on that, we have a blank piece of paper, and we can always restore it. So just like the version history, we never lose what we've typed. So now 2 hours ago, here's what I added. So it's showing the changes. Again, 2 hours ago, then I added a little bit more. So it shows the changes that I made. And then it showed the change that I made just now. So you can see what you did correct. Why I prefer, to be honest, why I prefer the version history in Google Docs is because this information over here, it shows you minute by minute how the document evolved. Right now, and I have to say, Microsoft keeps improving the quality of the product, so maybe they will add this feature, and I'll certainly reach out to them about it. It only shows you just basically not minute by minute, but you can see changes about every 10 minutes. I think the ability to see changes minute by minute really helps you as the educator to give feedback to your students, because you're seeing how the quality of their work evolved, and if you've given them some feedback along the way, how they responded to that feedback. So that date and time stamp information is helpful. So some of that information is available in version history for Word. So I hope that is helpful. I mean, after everything is corrected, are the corrections highlighted in any way? Okay, so did that help? So, so there's some information about version history. We'll get out of that. We'll just go back to our document. And so now what we have done is we've explored dictation. We've explored some of the features. I mean, the editor feature is so incredibly powerful. We really want to show that option to our students, but also give them explicit instruction. It's a computer, doesn't necessarily mean it's the best option. And again, always have your students determine which one of those choices they feel is the best one. Some kids will just click the top choice, and does that in fact reflect what they want to say? So just something to think about. The other thing, it's always important when we are helping our students improve the quality of their writing to give them feedback. And again, we can highlight the text, we can add a comment, and so we'll give a new comment. And I could say, this is excellent. Please add more details, whatever we want. And the ability to give your students feedback through the audio comments is again, something that's really important, to use that feature. If you happen to be a Google school as well as a Microsoft school, this option is obviously available in both Google Docs and Word 365, and giving students feedback as they're writing. I'll never forget a student who was in high school, and he'd been struggling with writing and had been dictating to an adult forever because his handwriting, he was dysgraphic, he was dyslexic, he could not improve.
When I saw your name, I'm like, oh my gosh, I checked the calendar twice today.
Debbie, can you mute yourself?
Like, how did I miss another one?
Hello? I'm sorry, I've just, let me see if I can mute Debbie because.
Okay.
Here, there we go. Okay. obviously something exciting was happening. So anyway, so my student was using, his English teacher was using this feature to help him because now he was starting to actually compose text on his own. And I'll never forget what he told me about how valuable that insert comments feature was. He said, it's helping me as I'm writing instead of when I'm done. So the ability, he just felt more confident as a writer, that he didn't have to do it all himself and then pass in the paper and get it graded. He was getting the feedback and the support as he was writing. So it built his confidence as a writer, which was so important for him to get. Can we record a comment? Unfortunately, not that I am aware of at this point. I know, again, in Google Docs, using the Read and Write for Google Chrome extension, you can add a voice comment. I am not familiar with how to do that yet. But again, this is Microsoft. They keep adding new features. So in fact, unfortunately, they recently took off a feature that, that used to be available with their spell check version. You used to be able to hear the sentence read to you or the spelling suggestions read to you. They removed that feature. And I emailed Mike Tolfson yesterday when I noticed that. And I'm waiting for him to respond because I'd really like that feature, the talking spell checker feature, to be put back into Word 365. Can you set up standard comments that you can use over and over? Why not? Why not just have another document open that you can just copy and paste and just keep reusing those? There's no way to do it currently in Word 365 itself, but there's nothing to stop you from having another document open that you could just copy and paste. Does the Read and Write extension work with Word Online? So because Cheryl asked that, so yes, it does, but the voice comments feature does not show up in Word 365 Online, unfortunately, because it sees it as a web page and the voice comments feature doesn't show up on a web page. Do I know how well Editor works in other languages? I do not. That would be something, Gabor, explore it and see what you think, see what you notice. I can't give you any information about that. I have no experience with that. So you try it out and let us know. So that's some information about the tools that support our students with writing challenges. So we looked at the rewrite suggestions, we looked at the 3 dots, we looked at the editor settings, and we looked at dictation. Now what we want to do is, I showed you where to find the version history, file, info, version history. This is a really great video that I would like to have you watch. It's only a minute long. And I think that as we're transitioning now to talk about how to use the tools in Word 365 for reading, I think that this is a really great video to just take a minute to hear from students' perspectives. And we'll just give it a minute because our student voice is so important. So here we go. Whoops. Here we go, right here. Okay, so we'll click on this and I'll turn up my volume. And again, it's only a minute long, but I do think that this is worth seeing.
The true purpose of education is to create possibility.
It was a little hard for me. People laugh whenever I read sometimes. Well, they read, and I didn't.
I will never be good at reading. I will probably be held back again. It highlights the words to know where I am.
When it's reading, I see spaces between the words, and it's easy to focus on.
The first time I actually could read that book I was proud of myself. I was very proud of myself.
Good job, Joey.
When technology and education come together, possibility becomes reality.
I want to read every book in here.
So what did you think? I've seen that video and it still moves me because how the tools that I'm about to show you have made all the difference in the world for some of our learners. So again, what I'm going to do, and so again, I will take this particular, here actually, let's do the Common Lit tools. Nope, not that one. We'll take the Common Lit document and we'll close the editor. And we will go into the view page, the view tool. And over here on the side, it says reader view and immersive reader. What I want you to see is the magic that's in immersive reader. So here's the text. I clicked on immersive reader. And just like that, it now changed the visual presentation of the document. And actually I have changed the settings. So what I want you to see, I've changed, there is text size, I've changed them. So the default setting is more like this. And so you can see the options, sometimes just changing the font size and the font spacing and the color of the background can make all the difference in the world for some of our students. So we need to show them that it is possible, if we go to that AA where it says text preferences, that we can change the font size.
Of reading and discussing young adult texts, but how
So,
much time is allocated
Kevin, I'm just going to mute you.
that students contribute to the group more.
Whoops, there we go. Okay. That's so great. You're discovering it already and you're trying it out. We can increase the spacing. We can, we only have 3 font choices. They've done some research and felt that these 3 were the best. And then the color themes, look at all the color options. So we could maybe, some students do prefer white text on a black background. Very few, in my experience, prefer the black text on a white background. But look at all the options that we could try. We could try something like this. So sometimes just changing the visual presentation makes all the difference. Then, so I'm just, before I explore some of these other features, I want you to see this option here. We'll go back to the top and we could select a single word and listen to it.
Conformity.
Or we can start reading. See this button on the bottom? Now we can listen to the entire document read to us with word by word highlighting. Look at this.
Conformity. By commonality staff. Conformity, or acting the way most other people in one's group act, often grows out of a person's desire for security and belonging in a group.
So I'm going to pause it. So what did you think? For some students, that might be too fast. For some students, that might be too slow. So again, right here next to the right there's a voice settings tool. So if we click on that, we can adjust the rate of speed. We can go slower. It defaults to this point. That's like regular speed. So we can go faster, or we could go slower, but we can adjust it to what works for our students. It's not about what works for us. We only have 2 voice choices, male or female, but again, those are much higher quality voices. If you remember back in the 90s, when we had Microsoft Mary and Microsoft Sam, the quality of the voices, and I'll let you hear the male voice as well. So we'll keep going. And I did actually slow it down a little bit.
Usually a group of similar age, culture, religion, or educational background.
So it is a little distorted when it's a little slower, but there is that option. And again, for some students, that's exactly what they need. Can you put a document in Teams and then students can choose to have it read to them? When they open it up, Immersive Reader, so Marie, you've tried it. Immersive Reader is available in a lot of different tools now. It's available in Flipgrid, it's available in some other options as well. Cora, I'm going to mute you. Let's just try muting. Okay. So some of the questions, yes, let me just show you some of the other features so that you will really get super excited about the options for your students. Okay, so we looked at the voice settings, we looked at the text preference settings. One of the things that, that you need to know about is the reading preferences. So we can focus on single lines, we can focus on 3 lines of text, and 5 lines of text. Not sure why those are grayed out. We'll turn that. Let's turn off line focus. But it oh, for some reason it's grayed out. So it's 1 line of text, 3 lines, and 5 lines. I'm not sure. There's always glitches. So the 3 and the 5 lines are not possible for me right now. Here's, again, the magic. Look at this translation tool, choose a language. Look at all these options that are possible. Many, many languages. So is there anyone here that wants to see a particular language that we can check the how accurate it is? I speak limited Greek, but okay, Spanish. So of course, oh, and Turkish. So let's see if they do have Turkish. They do have Turkish. Let's try Turkish and you can tell me. So look at this. You can translate by word. So watch what happens now. If we put this here, here is the Turkish word, and listen, now you can hear it. Was that accurate? Let's try particularly.
Özellikle.
So you can hear you can hear the English word and the Turkish word. You could also not just do by word, you can also do the entire document. So here is the entire document, and now you can hear it read in Turkish. So some of you are more interested in hearing Spanish. So we have several different Spanish versions. Let's go with Mexican Spanish. And again, we can do by word.
Actuar de.
And let's do other.
Otro.
Now, do you notice this? This is considered here, we'll say persons. So here's the Spanish word.
Persona.
Here's the English version. And then you notice.
Persons.
So you notice this? There's also symbol support built in to Office Word 365 Immersive Reader. Did you know that? Really important to know. So one of the things, if we go into reading preferences, this is the picture dictionary is here. I think it defaults to off. I can't remember. I've had it for so long. And so if it's off, you can show your students how to turn it on if they need that type of support. So again, if we do the Spanish translation for this entire document,
I have my mic on.
Spanish. And
about Microsoft Word and the translation and Immersive Reader.
Oh, Kevin, let me mute you.
Oh, see, there you go.
So here now we can, let me just get rid of that. So now we could hear the document read to us
Muchos
in
casos
Spanish.
impulsar a 3 personas a adoptar actitudes o comportamientos negativos sin pensar.
How many of us work with students who are English language learners and they are dependent on an adult to read to them, whether it's in English or Spanish? This takes that challenge away so our students can be independent. We can bring in articles online. Can you see all the ways that this could be used with your students? Okay, so let me go back into, we'll go back so we'll go back to the English version. The other thing that I haven't shown you yet, again, more magic from Microsoft. Here, this middle icon is grammar options. Now watch what this allows us to do. So we can now syllabicate. See this? I'm going to turn on syllables on. Just like that. Now, this is syllabicated. The entire document is syllabicated for us. There are times when that kind of information is helpful because some kids just don't get the syllables like desire. They might, or usually. So I'm going to turn syllabication off. And if you can think of ways that you would use that, add it to the chat because this is a really awesome feature that it is not available in other tools that I'm aware of. Another thing is now we can turn on all the nouns. We want to do a lesson around parts of speech and we want our students to identify all the nouns, but here, now what I've done is all the nouns are blue. I could turn on. All the verbs are red. Now, again, of course, Microsoft doesn't just leave us to figure out our own colors. We can even customize it ourselves. We can turn, so parts of speech, nouns, verbs, adjectives, and adverbs. We can also show labels. So if some of our students do need that kind of support, so blue is a noun, red is a verb. So it's all here available for our students. Did you know about that feature? And do you think that that could be valuable? And especially in this time of remote learning. Yes, great idea. Use syllabication when writing poems with students. So this is such wonderful UDL feature. Yes, exactly. Universal design. Can you isolate syllabication? You mean for particular words? I'm only aware that you can use it for the entire document. So if you wanted to isolate it, just put less into your Word document to then bring into Immersive Reader, if that would help. So I'm going to turn off parts of speech, noun, and show labels. And now I'm going to go back. So again, just to review all of our options. Text preferences, we can change our font size. Increase spacing, I'm going to turn off increase spacing just so you can see the difference. We can change the font and we can change our themes. And I will go back. We can syllabicate, we can identify parts of speech. We can do, oh, see now line focus is working. I don't know. So here it is. So here's 3 lines of text, here's 5 lines of text, here's 1 line of text. Who benefits when we have that line focusing set to different levels? Who benefits from that? So put that in the chat. We can turn on our picture dictionary. We can change our languages. And just so you know, actually, I think that there are about 60 different languages that are represented in this particular Immersive Reader tool. We looked at our readback, the readback feature, the text-to-speech, and we looked at the voice settings. So lots of options with Immersive Reader with Word Online. And here we can scroll up using this tool on the side. Lots of options. So now I'm going to go back out of Immersive Reader and just remind you where you find the Immersive Reader view, because it's important to realize this. That you typically, it defaults to the home screen on the toolbar. And so that's where you find Dictate and Editor and Comments. But you need to select the View tab, and that's where you have access to Immersive Reader. Yes, Marie, many students have struggled with this, and I don't have all the tools to help. This will help many of your students, absolutely. And Mary, yeah, that's who benefits from the focusing options. So is this something that you need to show your students? Those of you who are Office 365 districts, if your students don't know about this, it's time to let them know. They need to know that this is possible, that they can read independently. I'm hearing about a lot of parents who are feeling like they have to read the information to their kids because their kids can't read with fluency and their decoding skills are not intact. And it's a real struggle for them to access the remote instruction independently. So show your students, create a screencast. Actually, Microsoft has created many screencasts about how to do this. And so make sure that your students are aware of this particular option. So So and another, this is good. Smart Lookup is another tool that can be used. So if I want to click on the word conformity, and I can right click, and one of my options here, besides rewrite suggestions, is Smart Lookup. And this is kind of great because you don't have to leave this this tab. And oops, let me just make it a little smaller. Little glitch here. It's taking. All right, let me get out of that because it's not responding to me. Okay, so Smart Lookup. So I clicked on the word conformity, and here is the definition. Here are some antonyms. So it's staying right within the word tab itself. They don't have to go outside to get definitions, and they even have some pictures. This is really cool. So, and then, so here are your definitions. So it's all right here within the word tab. So if we want to see what the word connotation means, we'll do Smart Lookup, and we'll do Smart Lookup. It will automatically bring in that information so that the student can better understand what they're reading. What is a negative connotation? It gives examples. So it's going out and getting information online and just bringing it right into the word tab. And here's the definition. And then I like this too when it does include the synonyms, because oftentimes our students do need that kind of synonym support to help improve the quality of their writing. So I just want to make sure that people know about this. This is being recorded. Did you share a link to the slide deck? I didn't, Maureen. For some reason, I was welcome. For some reason, I couldn't create a bit.ly to add to the presentation, but I will figure out how to do that and then make it available. So can we collaborate on Office 365 Word? Yes, yes. So here, this share. Here's a great question that I didn't address. So here is the share feature. And just like with Google Docs, so now you can share, anyone with the link can edit. And so you both could theoretically be working on it at the same time, just like with Google Docs. All right, so that was Smart Lookup. Then, so I just want to make sure that we reviewed, so with an Immersive Reader, the customizability features, the text-to-speech, the picture symbol support, the syllabication, parts of speech, and the translation tools. They are all there built into Immersive Reader. And during the course of this Global EdTech Academy, you will see many other tools that also have the Immersive Reader features built into them. They are very powerful. You're not just limited to Word 365. Again, it's in Flipgrid, there's a whole table of, and they keep adding new third-party apps and third-party products that also incorporate Immersive Reader. But the power is just to start and see where it is in online Word. Can students submit their documents through Google Classroom? Yeah, I have a Twitter handle. Can they submit their documents through Google Classroom? Why not just copy and paste it into a Google Doc? But the Google Doc also has some beneficial features with their add-ons, like the Read and Write for Google Chrome extension. It does get a little confusing for students in terms of which platform, if you're having them. You as the educator have to decide what you will do and how you will handle that, and whether your students can handle that kind of differences in platforms. So I always feel like it's important for us to show the features that are possible and have students identify which ones help them to do the best work. So my Twitter handle, oops, that just went to Beth. Let me just send it out to everyone publicly. So send chat to, I want to send it to everybody. Well, my Twitter handle is @KarenJan, Jan. I think I would think that they cannot do the submit button, but can add the, yeah, they can definitely add the doc to any assignment. Can't they save it to Drive and then submit? Absolutely. Is the only way through Teams to share this? No, you're sharing the URL. You could share through OneNote. You could share through Teams. You could just share through Outlook, one of the other options. Let me show you back here. So when we go back to share, anyone with the link can edit. And so you could send it in an email. You could use Outlook to share it, or you could copy the link. So there's multiple ways to actually share the Word document. It doesn't need to be limited to Teams. So, one of the things, this meme just came across my Facebook account this morning. I miss people, places, and things. So nouns, essentially. I miss nouns. So I just thought that that was really appropriate with the ability to identify parts of speech in Immersive Reader. Yes, don't we all miss nouns? So I did want to take a minute to speak about Office Lens. This is not Word 365, but this is a free app for the iOS devices, for iPhones, iPads. And what is helpful is you can take a picture of text. And I'm not sure if I'm logged in. My phone was actually dead. You can take a picture of text in Office Lens, and within your phone itself, open up whatever you've taken the picture of text and open it up in Office Lens, and it has the Immersive Reader feature built into it. So students don't need, if they've come across a worksheet or a piece of text that they can't decode themselves, or they want to use the Immersive Reader features, it's built into Office Lens for their iOS device. And that is a free app for the iPad, the iPhone, whatever. Really powerful tool. Yes, yeah, Marie, Abru, so useful. Are you using Office Lens for that purpose? Again, it's something that we have to show our students so that they can add to their technology toolkits, and especially for life outside of the classroom, for when they graduate, for when they go on to college and they encounter things. So at this point, if there are any questions that I didn't address, I hope that you found this helpful, and I hope that you found at least one new strategy that you can immediately implement for yourself, for your students. So thank you, Trish. What did you add? Yes, perfect. Will this be available to rewatch later? Yes. All of the EdTech, Global EdTech Academy webinars are going to be saved. And so you will be able to record everything, review it again at a later time. I don't know if you're like me, but I love webinars when I can speed it up and just focus in on the things that I need to hear again. I love the ability to adjust the time. So thank you for joining. Oh, good. I'm glad that you found it eye-opening. We need to make sure our students know about this. We need to make sure our colleagues know about this, because when you, as an educator, know about these tools, you can share with your students, and they're the ones who need to be equipped and empowered for success. So I really appreciate you all coming. If anyone has any questions beyond this, my email address is right here, karen.janowski@gmail.com. My Twitter handle is @KarenJan, just @KarenJan, Jan. And I look forward to seeing you online. Thank you all so much for coming, and I hope you did learn something new.
Thank you.
Thank you all.
Thank you.
So where is my recording?
Thank you.
Thank you all.
Thank you. Bye.
Thanks. I need to stop recording.